Okay. We've been talking the past 4 or 5 days about what kind of functions? Exponential functions. We're not talking about those anymore. We're moving on to greener pastures today. We're going to talk about polynomials and what that means today. I don't know why my voice cracks. Okay, so we need to know what is a polynomial. There are some called monomials. What does mono imply? One. What does binomial imply? What does trinomial imply? Okay, so what we do is we count first. So I'm going to write on the side to myself. We're going to count how many terms you have. The first thing we do is we count. How many terms do I have? How many terms do I have? Well, obviously we need to know what that word means. What on earth is a term? We may not have heard that before. So I'm going to write it on the little flap. Does everyone have count how many terms you have? Okay, then I'm going to turn and write on the little flap so you can see what I'm writing. Terms are separated that's an ugly D. Terms are separated by an addition sign or a subtraction sign. Okay, so back up again. So today we're talking about polynomials. We don't know what that is yet.
Miss Conner,
Yes, ma'am.
do you have Emily Morales?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
At your convenience, I need to see her at the attendance window.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Go for I forget. Okay, terms are separated by a plus or a minus. So backing up, we're talking about something called a polynomial. The first thing you're going to do, no matter what the problem is, it's probably a good idea to count how many terms you have. You're going to say, how do I find what's a term? They're separated by a plus or a minus sign. Okay, so flip to the inside of the flap. Obviously, a monomial is one term. And we're going to make some examples. For instance, x to the 7th. That's one term. 4y to the 3rd. That's one term. 7x to the 6th. That's one term. I don't see a plus or a minus, so it's one term, one term, one term. And then my last one, I'm going to do b divided by 7. Yes, even a fraction. If I don't see a plus or a minus, it's still one term. Okay. And it says binomial, which, like Ashanti said, means two terms. So we've got to have examples with two terms. So x minus y. Y plus 4. X minus 3. One term, two term. One term, two term. One term, two term. Two terms. And of course, there could be something a little complicated, like 4x to the 3rd plus 3x. There could be something a bit more complicated. Of course, Ms. Compton picks easy examples, and then she hands you a worksheet that does not look like x minus y. So, of course, they can be more complicated. We can tell they're two separate terms by a plus or a minus. Okay, and then trinomial is three terms. So, for instance, x plus y minus 2, that's 1, 2, 3 terms. Or 4x plus 2y minus 1, that's 1, 2, 3 terms. And Lord knows we can make it complicated and have 2x to the third plus 2x minus 3. We could have something much more complicated, but it's still 1, 2, 3 terms. Are there any questions so far? We're not cool enough to have a name for a 4-termer, a 5-termer, a 20-termer. Anything higher than 3 is called a polynomial. So if there's more than 3 terms, we just call it a polynomial. It does not have a specific name. I'm just going to do one example, and I'm going to do it sideways because I'm out of room. Maybe b to the third plus b squared minus 4b plus 2. I said b to the third plus b squared minus 4b plus 2. How many terms does that have? 4. 4 terms. One hint is that if you count the number of signs, there were 3 signs. It's always one more than that. So 3 signs, 4 terms. Okay, so now we got to do some non-examples. What have we been talking about lately? Those are not polynomials. What have we been talking about lately?
The thing that goes like that.
What is it called?
Exponential.
Okay, so give me an example of an exponential function.
Fx.
Okay.
At the 3x.
3 to the x. That's a non-example. That's a good one. Another non-example, I love you with your function notation. Another non-example would be if we put a variable in the denominator. 7 divided by x. No. That is not a polynomial. Because you and I both know we're going to flip it and make it 7x to the negative 1. We could. We don't do negative exponents in polynomials. Polynomials, negative exponents, they're no. Non-examples. No. Okay, so we did this top flap. Now we're going to do the flap that says to the right. It says, how do you define the degree of a polynomial and what is the leading coefficient? So first we need to know what degree is. Oh, the degree is the biggest exponent. Let me say that again. The degree is just the biggest exponent. So that seems pretty easy. And then it says, what is the leading coefficient? I'm just going to put LC because I'm out of room. LC, oh, that's just the number in front of the biggest exponent. So the leading coefficient is just the coefficient in front of that highest degree. So the degree is the biggest exponent. The leading coefficient is the number in front of the biggest exponent. I see some people cheating, and that's great. Go on ahead and flip the flap open. That's where we're going next anyway. If you're writing in pencil, you can go ahead and take a guess. I know my marker people don't want to have to erase if they're wrong, though. Okay, so let's look inside. The first example is 9 to the x. What is the degree? How many terms was that? So what would we call 9x? What is that called? What kind of polynomial? Okay. What is the leading coefficient? I heard it. Be proud. It is 9. Okay. The next example is what kind of polynomial? Binomial. There's 2 terms. Okay. What is the degree? 2. The biggest exponent is the 2. And then what's the leading coefficient? Also 2. The number in front of that highest exponent is a 2. Okay, then we get to the next one, the third example. It says, how many terms are there? So what will we call that? We're just going to call it a polynomial. And what's its degree? What's the leading coefficient? And then the last one is the hardest because, of course, they could make these tricky and do what they did on this last one. What do they do different? Well, tell me what the degree is. But there is no leading coefficient. So what is the leading coefficient? Is it a 1? It's a negative 1 because there's that negative sign. Okay, and Jameson and Ashanti are right about that, but I was focusing on what I was trying to get out of Riley. She doesn't even know. Is that this is the first one where it wasn't going in descending order. The highest exponent was in front, highest exponent in front, highest exponent in front. This one did not have the highest exponent in front. They do not have to put it in pretty order for you. They might make your life a little complicated. They're allowed. Okay, then we're going to add today, and then I'm going to stop talking, and we can subtract tomorrow. Unless y'all are just wanting the power thing. You're not. I can see the time. Never mind. Okay. So, when we're adding polynomials, what do you always do in math class when you have a problem? You're supposed to combine what?
Like terms.
Okay. I'm glad we're on the same page. And I say we're on the same page, but what exactly does like mean? Same what? What if we're like terms, what do we have in common? Same variable and same exponent. We can't combine x plus y and say that's 2xy. We've not done that, no. We can't add x plus x squared and say that's x to the third, no. You can only combine like terms. They have to have the same variable and the same exponent. And once I show you the next example on the inside flap, you're going to say, Miss Competent, I've been adding polynomials my whole life. I didn't even know it. Okay. But while I wait, because people are still writing, I'm going to color in the plus sign because I can. I never get to color. Y'all get to color all the time. Okay. Adding polynomials. Open the flap. How many terms in this first set of parentheses? Okay, and what's the highest degree? 3, so the degree is 3, and then what's the leading coefficient? It's a 4, and then look at the other term. What is it? 3, so we call that a? Okay, and then what's its degree? Its degree is 3 because x to the third, and then what's its leading coefficient?
1.
Okay, so, see, you know things. We want to combine like terms. So, is there anyone that 4x to the third can be combined with? These are two separate examples. It can't go with x to the third, negative 5x squared, or x. You can't add it with any of them. No? I would have sworn I could put those two together. They have the same, they both have an x, they're both to the third, why can't they go together? When you add those together, what would you get? Yes, because 4 plus 1 is 5, so I would have 5x to the third. Does everyone understand how Miss Compton got 5x to the third? No. I would not, because when we add, that's a good question, because again, some people do this on the test. If we have x to the second times x to the fifth, when we multiply, we add the exponents. When we add, we don't do anything. We can't add the exponents, and those two terms can't actually go together because they are different exponents. So we don't know. We can't do that. Okay, 2x squared. Does he have a friend? Who can he be combined with?
5, negative 5x.
Okay, so 2 and negative 5x squared, what are you end up getting?
3x squared.
Tell me the sign. Negative 3x squared. We have 2 minus 5, so we get negative 3. It's negative 3x squared. Okay, I know it seems silly that I'm doing these squiggles and these symbols, but I think they help me keep up with who goes with who, so I definitely recommend it. Does 6x have a friend? Who's his friend? Okay, and when we add those, what do we get? Does negative 4 have a friend? Does he disappear? And I just stop right here. No, he still comes along for the ride. He just has no one to combine with. That is our final answer. And we like it in this order from highest exponent to lowest. It's easy to read. 3, 2, 1 has no x. So 3, 2, 1, 0. Nice to read. Are there any questions about that first example? Are you sure? Okay, then I'm going to do something I never knew. I'm going to stop right here. We'll do the second example and the other two tomorrow. You have 6 minutes for free.